Hey guys, welcome to the video. Here I'm going to be going through my Gantt chart and my task list so you can see how those two interact. So beginning with a Gantt chart is just a way to plan a elaborate project. So you'll see it's broken down by task, notes, importance, urgency, start, due, percent done, etc. Percent done adds up into an average for each major heading. And then according to the start and due dates, I just have a conditional formatting that will let me know visually kind of where I stand. And for tasks that have an urgency of being due more than a month away, I can't accurately predict when I'm going to start and when those are going to be due. So rather than have a placeholder, I'm just intentionally leaving it blank. So that's what a Gantt chart is. You'll see it includes all of the main facets. But then going to my task list, I never have really seen anyone combine Gantt and task lists at all, honestly. I'm sure people do, and I just haven't seen it. But my guess is that they probably don't combine them very intelligently, and so that's what I'm going to try to go through here today. So this is my task list, and to point out right away, you'll notice that it actually aligns it aligns basically exactly to my Gantt chart, and that's going to be imperative later on. So you'll see I have tasks, notes, importance, urgency, start, due. And then in my Gantt chart, I also have tasks, notes, importance, urgency, start, due. It's because eventually, once you've created a comprehensive and mutually exclusive Gantt chart, you can then copy and paste directly from here into the task list. But of course, within tasks, sometimes you're going to have tasks that fall outside of your Gantt chart because A, you didn't predict them, at which point you should just include them in your Gantt chart if they actually are central to the project, or else you might have other things that need to get done. So for instance, I just cleared out a bunch of my other stuff and migrated it out to my Gantt chart, got it done, or just discarded them. And these are some other things that I need to do. Like for instance, I got a ticket, and so I need to address that. I need to go to the UPS store, yada, yada, yada. Personal things that obviously are not part of my project, but at least for me, since I want to keep all of my tasks and all of my to-do lists and all of my information in one place, it's important that I have it in this one place, and so it's important that I be able to see them in my task list. So just going through really quickly the sort of non-discrete components of this, the parts that aren't in the Gantt chart. You've got your score and your rank, and the rank is obviously just, which scores are the highest. So you just rank it, and then you go to, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, right? It's honestly, I think, futile to rank beyond maybe the first 3 because who cares what's 5, 6, and 7? Because you're only going to work on 1, 2, and 3 first. So why even bother numbering the other ones, especially since it might change later on? So the rank's obvious. But the score, this is the function, the formula, I don't know what you would call it. I guess formula, it's an if function, duh. This is what I use to rank everything automatically based on importance and urgency. And what I mean by that is this, rather than have to try to intuit what is going to be the right ranking for things, I like to just do it automatically. So I spend most of my time thinking about the importance and the urgency of the matter, or of the task. The importance of it, I tend to invert the question and say, instead of saying how important is it, the better way I think is to say how catastrophic, how damaging to the company would it be if you did not do this task. So like if I don't have a Gantt chart and I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, that would be pretty dang damaging. Honestly, this I would say is actually more of a high importance. And these are just, I just filled these out by going into data and then data validation and then just a list of items. And so I'd say it's pretty high. It's not like catastrophic if I don't do it, but it definitely hurts my business pretty significantly. And you'll notice that the score automatically hit updated from 100. So again, if I was very high, it goes to 100. And the way that calculates it is by this up here. So these are just referencing, this formula just references these different cells. So if it's very high and today it's 100 points, very high, and 2 weeks it gets 20 points. If it's medium and 1 month, then it's 4 points. And anything really below 20 points, you should strongly consider delegating or straight up just not doing. So that's that's that. It's a pretty simple function. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing fancy, but it is great because it frees me up from having to decide between two tasks. Like, what's more important to do? Something of medium importance that's due tomorrow, or something that's very high importance that's due in a week? Which one should you work on first? Well, it's not always clear, but by having this objective and a priori grading system, I don't have to really think about it anymore, and it's actually incredibly freeing. Obviously, it's just important that you get the weighting correct. So these are all sort of the tasks that I have that exist outside of my Gantt chart. But now what I want to do is basically just include all of these that I filled out beforehand. I'm just going to copy and paste them all into my task list. And you can do Command-Shift-V to paste it within the same formatting that exists within the task list. Or if you were smart, I guess you could just have it all be the same formatting. But so now my task list is going to reflect perfectly my Gantt chart, which is obviously going to make it a lot easier for me to keep my Gantt chart clean and accurate. And so then as I then complete tasks, I can go back over to my Gantt chart and say I finished my coding courses. Then I could go to 100%, and then the average would update, and then everything would be cherry. But back on the task list, now this is a simple function of applying this function to all of my different components, and you'll see that it updates automatically according to its importance and urgency. And so let's just do this with another section here. Team's kind of small, so let's just do product. Just moving this over here. Again here, whoops, there it is. And then applying this down here. I can't just, you'd think that you could just copy and paste this into the entire column, but it kind of screws it up, so that's why I don't do it. But see, now you've automatically allocated a score or attributed a score to all of these different tasks without really having to think much about it, and you won't really ever have to readdress it again. And so now I can just easily go in, rank it, score it, and then of course, there are going to be ties here. Like there are a couple of 100s, there are a few 70s, and so that's where you just qualitatively go in and say, okay, which one's more important? Which one should I do first? Update the Gantt or ask users final product market fit questions? Well, honestly, this one, I think, as we mentioned earlier, is actually just more of a high importance, and so I can just reorder this, and now it's clear that this one's the number one, and then I would just have to decide between all of these what these mean. Cereal box, by the way, is kind of like, what's your pitch? Like, what's the thing that people in the aisle would see? What's your hook to get them in? And that's how I link my Gantt chart and my tasks, guys. It's actually super great because as soon as you nail your Gantt chart, you know that this is all I need to do in order to finish X. And X for me right now is getting through alpha launch. And then obviously just having the task list, I now know of all the different things that I have to do across company, team, product, marketing, sales, financing, accounting, legal. All I have to do now is just go one by one by one by one. And that is so freeing, so liberating, and it's just been such a blessing, and it just keeps things really well organized, especially as things start to get bigger. And yeah, I think it's just going to be absolutely huge and beneficial. Obviously, you have to update it every day. Like, if I don't finish like all these tomorrow, I'm going to have to go in and rewrite them as today, as being urgency today. So that is a downside that I haven't really fully figured out how to work around yet. You could do a thing of like creating a function that just calculates according to, that gives a different weight according to how many days away it is. But qualitatively, I like seeing that something's due today, something's due tomorrow, instead of just having a ranked score. Maybe that's faulty thinking, but for right now, this works for me. So that's it, guys. That's the video. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions.